I feel like there's
This
gonna
is
be
a secret
compartment.
storage
That's what I was
compartment.
like,
This is where the TV, flat screen
Okay,
TV.
okay.
If you need a flat screen TV, it's wired for a flat screen TV. Come on, turtle. There. That's how the boat's put together.
and that's
I'm
a
going to-
12 volt.
Yeah, that's a 12 volt
Cigarette
outlet,
lighter.
so I can put my CPAP or whatever there.
Gotcha.
These are air conditioning controls, should you ever
Right.
need them. Let's start here, and we'll go around starboard, and then we'll go port side. Got lots of batteries. They're all pretty fresh. I've labeled them. Most of the batteries are like 10-year batteries, but they're no longer, they should be no older than a year or two at the most. More additional batteries in here. And what do I got in here? This is the charger for the angle grinder,
Oh, okay.
cordless angle grinder. That's for cutting, theoretically, I
Mast.
carry on board, cutting away the rigging
rigging.
in case the mast goes over, because otherwise it's going to punch a hole inside the boat or something. Plus, what you're actually going to use it for is all those clever projects where you just want to kind of round something out and cut something off. That's no problem. Okay, now comes the treasure.
Oh, yeah.
This is the floating harbor freight. Zip ties of all colors, lengths, and sizes, should you need them. This is really important. These are all heat shrink connections.
Connectors,
Always crimp and heat
And
shrink.
heat shrink 'em.
And
So,
if you have
Like a
wire,
little
yeah,
lighter butane.
exactly. Or I got a heat gun too, someplace around here, and that's really a good idea to make the connections like this.
Yeah.
For heaven's sakes, never use any wire nuts or twist them together with electrician's tape on a boat. Oh well, we got some nice silicone lubricant. Here is your angle grinder.
Angle grinder, yeah.
Now, some multi-purpose lubricant 56 starts wet engines. Oh, that's nice. So you can even use it as an engine starter. I imagine probably cleans fingernails too. Screwdrivers here. Plenty of screwdrivers, and you've got some bits here. And I will say on this one, I believe, let's make sure.
I assume the reason you got so many screwdrivers is because they might fall overboard easily.
They always do. And I can't imagine why I got so many in there. There is one bit, and I'm going to see if I can find it. It's it's painted red, and the reason it's special is that it's the one. There it is. I have it on here. That's the one that gets you into the pod, the navigation pod at the binnacle. It's a security one, and it undoes the backing so that you can access. So that's right there. And I labeled it too, I think, yes. So lots of
Why would you need to access that?
if you have something's wrong with it, it's acting weird. You want to check the connections, that sort of thing. You want to access it. I've had to do it probably about 5 or 6 times in the last 8
command
years.
mic.
And having lost it once or twice, I decided to label it very clearly.
Yeah.
So they sort of set in here in a particular manner. These are your wrenches, lots of wrenches. Not much to say about wrenches can be said, except I have a specialty wrench in here that you will need at some point. And it's, you know what a crow's foot wrench is?
I've heard the name, but I don't
All right,
know.
I'll show you. You'll find you need those pretty frequently. Most things, engine-wise, of course, and But other things, of course, SAE. This is so you can kind of get an idea of what the goods are. Here it is. This is crow's foot. This beast here, and it's set up for a 1/2-inch drive. And there's a 1/2-inch drive it's got the extension here. And then there's a 1/2-inch drive someplace. The reason I have this is to tighten
Oh, okay. The
this chain plate rod.
chain plate.
You go in through these openings here, and you get that up in there, and it's very awkward. You have a mirror down there to see what you're doing, and you tighten it up to somewhere between 90 and 100 foot-pounds. So this was a kind of a specialty thing I had to order, and they gave me the wrong size and took me a while to get it. But
Oh, and you've got it labeled there, 90 to 100 foot-pounds.
yeah, again, I try to label as much as I can in case I forget or you forget.
That's good.
Now, how do you know it's 90 or 100 foot pound? I
You-
assume that's like how tight it is.
Yes, that is, and you can use a torque wrench, which I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I used a torque wrench. I got a torque wrench around here someplace.
Okay.
I will hopefully come by it. But you don't have to do that except once every 4 years. And since I did it last year, you were not going to
A
need
couple
it.
years.
Yeah, till about the time you got the boat ready to go.
Okay. We'll be watching this video. to find- remember that.
Yeah. What is 90 to 100 pounds?
Yeah.
It is about as hard as you can do it. That's pretty close to 90 to 100 pounds. About as hard as you can do it.
Okay, but how do you measure that?
There's a wrench that looks like this, only it's got a little dial on it, and as you torque this down, this dial
Okay.
moves. It's just a piece
And
of
it
metal.
tells you what you're at.
Where you're at, exactly.
Example, man.
But it's a 1/2-inch drive for that crow's foot there. Here's the battery for that. All the batteries were charged up. That was charged up, but over a season it may go
Yeah,
down. Some discs, replacement
Yeah, for that
discs.
angle tool.
There's a
angle
couple that
grinder.
escaped. Okay. A little bit of black ketchup paint. I can't remember why, but keep it in a plastic bag, and let's not put it in front of the heater. So yeah, just keep those in. Yanmar tools. There's some little open-end wrenches.
Okay.
These are also very good for setting the torque on the shrouds, because you have to have a wrench, and these are the right metric, one on the top and one on the bottom, and so these are very good for doing that and working on the Yanmar. Some heat shrink tubing. That's useful for all sorts of things. What is this? Oh, this is a socket set of very small sockets. Real useful.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can't get in. It's a 1/4-inch drive, but sometimes you can't get in with a regular size socket, and you can get that in.
Or a hose.
One of those extra pieces. So we'll put that there. This is, what is he saying? I've used this more often than you believe.
Oh, okay.
Everything from cleaning out vents,
Yeah.
the Blackwater tank, to other things, to fishing through wires and things like that. It's just an extra long arm, and on a boat like that, it's kind of useful.
Is that, and that looks like a linkage cable or throttle or something in here.
Yeah, and I found that. Where did I find this?
You got that off a boat that was
Pilford?
Pilfered. Maybe it was in a dumpster, but it's a good fishing line also to get. And you'll find that,
okay.
in a boat is not set up for any kind of maintenance. They just sort of forget about it, and then you're trying to get through this impossible locations. So, after much tears, I decided that was an important thing to have. Grommets, when you run wires through a hard drill, Try to get a grommet in there. You can't always do it whenever you can, just so it doesn't chafe. Okay. This, you lift it up and it can stick to the side of the boat, and you can move around and you can scrub it.
Oh, okay. You
Also-
hold yourself instead of drifting off.
These newer ones that I've replaced have a bolt that goes all the way through. I think there's one of these hatches left that still has the old special super glue latch on it.
Yeah.
Comes off.
I saw a video of a guy that replaced those.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
It comes off. Well, if it comes off and you're at sea, this thing's flapping up and
Okay.
down. So you stick this up, you lock it, and you wedge a stick across there, and that will hold it down.
Oh, okay.
And you can put it on your forehead. Okay. I have the, what you call the remote display replaced for about like $800 last year. And so I ended up with 2 of these covers, but inevitably they seem to fall overboard. So there's an extra spare cover. That was important one day, and it may be important some other day.
Pirates.
Okay, electrical. I got a lot of electrical stuff simply because that's the job that seems to be the most common thing they have to work
yeah.
with. This little box here. Come on, you can do this. There you go. You got some pretty good strippers.
Oh, yeah.
Additional strippers, a couple of different kinds of crimpers, big heavy duty crimpers, a spare circuit tester, some sticky electrician's tape, and some spare pieces of wire, bits and pieces. So when you go to do your next electric job, just pull this box out and put it to the side, and you'll be ready to go.
Okay. I've done some electric stuff, so.
Yeah, okay, good. It's all 12 volts, so you're not going to like electrocute yourself. Glues, lubes, you'll find that you're going to acquire more, and what you find more useful and so forth. Though I do keep the zipper glue, lube up in there. This is just a reciprocal for your inevitable stuff that you're going to want. Additional electrical parts. Let's see what this was. Fuses of all kinds, some pretty big ones, and you'll see where some of these big ones are used in some surprising and well-hidden secret spaces.
Okay.
This fingernail polish looks fabulous, but aside from that, you want to mark your positive terminals or something, or if in some cases I didn't have any red wire, so I painted it red. I got plenty of black wire. And then all sorts of odds and ends and bits and pieces. This is, yeah, good. I want to tell you about this. This is a remote starter. If you ever had the old cars that wouldn't start and you had to take the screwdriver and run it across the starter, this is a little more sophisticated. You clip these on and you can start the engine. I've had that problem twice now in 8 years. And I bought this. I haven't, of course, as soon as I buy it, I don't have the problem. But should you have the problem, hook them up to the proper, you can go online and double check. But there's on the solenoid and starter, there's 2 places, and you just bridge that, and then you can start the engine that way.
So that's if the starter's dead?
And the batteries are fine, but there's a little copper disc that the points touch, and sometimes if it arcs and it's oxidized, it won't quite start. So you bypass that with these and do it, and then the engine kicks over, turns it, and then you're all set.
Okay, so you have to press that, but you also have to press the button in the cockpit too?
No, this
That
will do it.
bypasses it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
okay,
bypasses
okay.
it.
Got it.
And then
Okay,
it
so it's
starts.
between the button there. And,
Yeah,
Okay.
and it goes,
And the
you're all-
starter.
You're all set. You do have to make sure that the fuel is open and going to
Yeah.
flow. It means you haven't cut it off or anything like that. But I keep it in electrical. But I suppose you could tape this inside the engine cover or something like that might be a better place, but it's just a thought.
Yeah, that's good to know.
That was one thing. That's a technical thing. You wouldn't know what it was if you saw it. The rest are just inspiration. You'll go through them, look at the little pieces so you remember them, and then when some odd thing comes up, maybe it's a plumbing problem, but something here in the electric box will work. That's just been one of those things that's been so useful and so necessary. Did I take anything else out of there? Seems to me I took some things out of there. Took that.
Fuses?
Fuses, thank you. My wife's been wondering where that box was. Shh. Okay. Plumbing. You do get to do some plumbing too.
Your own plumber, electrician,
Absolutely, yeah. You're the Home Depot hardware guy.
engine mechanic.
Lots of just spares and parts and pieces. Some of them are exotic and expensive and odd, and other ones are just odd, and you never know when you need them. There's been a couple of times where I've just been amazed that I had exactly what was needed to do that. This is a bushing that goes on the elbow, exhaust elbow. Had to replace one of them, and I got a hold of a second one. They're like $60. So when that time comes, and you have to replace that elbow about every 4 years or so, maybe 6, depends on how many engine hours and so forth. But you use a new one of these. So anyway, there's a spare one in there. There we go.
Can you do that yourself? Have you replaced
Yeah, I
that?
do. That I would do simply because it's plumbing. Basically, it's plumbing.
And it gets real corroded or something inside.
It does with all the gas and the hot gases
Yeah.
and so forth. Yeah, and you get it's if I remember right, one of them is counter thread, so you're going to kill yourself trying to do it the one way, but you back it off the other way and it works.
That's good to know.
I cleaned the elbow. I had a little bit of a leak, and I replaced that piece, and I cleaned out the elbow and primed it with zinc paint and painted over and put the refastened everything. And that was, and I used a gasket seal, a high temperature motorcycle gasket seal, and that was right in the middle of the season. We're in the Bahamas when I was able to do that, so it worked out. More of the little things. This junk at the bottom is not just random junk in a sense. It is. Let me take this out and I'll show you.
See some whole pieces of teak in there.
There's some pieces of teak in here, and you'll find, for whatever reason, you're going to need them. They made anything from a shim to whatever. So got some pieces of teak, and you got some odd pieces, small pieces of plastic. All of these come in very, very handy when you're trying to repair something, even if it's a Rube Goldberg temporary part. With a grinder and a drill and some sandpaper, you can make almost any parts you need on a temporary basis out of PVC and whatever else you've got. It just sort of make yourself, familiar with what you've got here, and then when the problem comes, you just, in your head, you just sort through what the item is, what you can do, what kind of tools you've got, and come up with a solution. And again, you don't need any. You can clean this out and throw it in a bucket if you're just going to be doing it on the bay. But if you are going to be out at sea and on the islands and stuff, having this is great for your boat, and you also can find yourself, about half the time I'm helping somebody else out with their problem because I have the part of the fitting or whatever it is, and I can work them on, and it just pays it forward and it comes back to you. So let me put this back together again.
What does that little thing say? No stowage behind or below, right in front of you?
Oh, here?
Yeah.
This is a piece I salvaged, and originally there was no storage
Okay.
behind or below.
I thought it was attached.
Oh, yeah. There we go. There. Now we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's and sometimes you just imagine eventually when this boat goes to the wreckers in 50 years or whatever it is, that some of this stuff will have never been used. But other ones, Yeah, you're glad you have it. I'll put this. Oh, no, I'm gonna put it back with the others. It's easy enough. Okay, let's see. What's the least used? Seems to be